aka Chaplain G, coming back at y'all with another word of encouragement for today. So you check this out. I wanted to bring y'all this word of encouragement just because I feel like during this time of year, because anxieties are super high, and then what's supposed to be a nice time of year, and people helping each other in the door and being gracious to one another. There's a lot of times when we hope for those things and that hope is not realized, that it just kind of takes us into this funk, right? And one of the things that we find is the human soul is assaulted by three enemies: shame, guilt, and fear. And it's during this time of year that those three things they start to really manifest themselves in people's lives. And so shame comes up in a way. It says it attacks our character. It says you're no good. People don't like you. You should be different. You should be thinking differently. You should look different. Shame kind of attacks us, who we are. And then there's guilt, right? Guilt says you shouldn't have done that. No, a normal person wouldn't do that. Normal people don't behave that way, kind of thing, right? So guilt starts to attack us. And then there's fear. And fear is really odd. Like it's one of those things that it can manifest itself in so many different ways. People are afraid of being lonely, and so they jump into all kind of unharmful relationships, right? Or harmful relationships, excuse me. People are afraid of being homeless or broke or something like that, right? And so they end up going to develop a gambling habit because they're trying to make money fast, so that they don't have to experience those type of things. Fear shows itself in a lot of different ways. And one of the ways that it shows itself during this holiday is that people, like, they're afraid of not getting their kids a good gift, and so they're rude to the people that are around them, or like I said earlier, like, they're afraid of being alone. But in that fear of being alone, they end up isolating themselves from everyone, and so the very thing they fear, they end up living into anyway. There's all kind of things of the way that it comes up. I know I am assaulted by fear this time of year. It's because when I first got into the military, I was super alone, and I didn't like that feeling. And so now I just kind of get like almost like this anger wells up in me a little bit. Like I don't want to be alone, and so I'm upset at it. But the root of that is like this fear. Man, there's all kind of things that the enemy uses to assault our souls. And the good news of that, the word of encouragement is, God comes along and multiple times throughout the scriptures makes it a command to the human soul. It says, do not fear. Don't fear, I'm with you. Don't fear, I am he. Over and over and over. And that's one of the times I wanted to read you one of those times that Jesus says that. In this story, Jesus and his disciples, they're out on the water, and for them, they're fishermen, so they're not like afraid of the sea, but a storm comes along, and it seems like it's a little bit bigger than what they can handle, right? And they had a lot of superstitions about the sea at the time. Probably one of those superstitions is where like there were dead souls that resided on the sea or something like that. And so they're out in the sea, the storm comes, the boat is rocking, they're having a hard time controlling their boat, and they see Jesus out on the water, and he's walking on the sea, and they freak out. Like they're thinking this is a ghost, right? But I want to read you what Jesus says to them as a word of encouragement to you. Maybe you're in a time of life where you got all kind of things happening, and fear is trying to assault you. Maybe you're going through some stuff with a family or a loved one, and you're afraid they're going to leave you or something like that. Maybe you're going through some stuff with your kids, and you're not sure what they're going to do. Maybe you're going through some stuff at the job, man. Like maybe you're one of these folks that's going through this religious exemption process, right? And you're seeing everything the government is doing. yes, it feels like there might be some good news, but for the most part, it's just dread and not knowing what's going to happen next, and just that fear just wells up in you. Look at what Jesus says to his disciples as they find themselves in fear. Jesus says to them in Mark chapter 6, verse 50, he says, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." When Jesus says that, he says it almost as a command, like he's in the same way that he told Lazarus to come out of the tomb and brought him back to life, in the same way that he would chase away evil spirits out of people and command them to go out of people, in the same way that he commanded the light to come forth and to existence and reality to become manifested. In the same way that he uses that power, it's almost like he's speaking to the human soul in the same way. Do not fear. Do not be afraid. It's hard to hear that because we're afraid of the things that are right in front of our face, right? And because Jesus isn't right there, we're like, yeah, but you're not here. You don't know what it is I'm going through. And the reason why Jesus came in the flesh is to experience all the shame and the guilt and the fear that we experience, but show us that he is powerful enough to overcome it. And the only thing he's asking us to do is come into a relationship with him. And he would give us that power, give us that ability to overcome that fear. And so I'm praying for y'all. I'm praying for y'all this holiday season that you're not overcome by the many different ways that Satan tries to use our shame, guilt, and fear against us. I'm praying that you would come to know the love of God, and that you would receive his command to your human soul that says, do not be afraid. I'm with you. Hopefully that's a word of encouragement for y'all today. Yo, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, man. All that stuff's free to y'all, but it means a lot over here because we're trying to get this thing popping. But I love y'all. Hope y'all doing well, man. I'm praying for y'all. And yo, until next time, grace and peace.